Some people are too proud to say I told you so. I am not one of those people. Mike, what did I tell you my friend would happen? And any of you who watched our preview of the number one contender middleweight fight, Mike and I had a little wager going. Not that we bet anything except for bragging rights. So here's me bragging. Mike took Jared Cannonier, and Jared Cannonier had every reason to earn his respect. He's an awesome, awesome fighter. I just said, hold on. We're not disrespecting Bobby Knuckles like this. There was one stat that I didn't bring up when we previewed this, which is that you were talking about Bobby Knuckles' chin, and he'd been dropped a few times, which is true. However, he won 11 of his last 12. Let's not forget that. He's a freaking stellar fighter, and he fought Izzy, and Izzy's better than everybody. So what can you do? Now, for me, my position is obviously this dude beat Yoel Romero twice. This dude's a freaking killer, and if he's going to fight someone not named Israel Adesanya, he's going to beat them at 185. Mike, I want to hear from you a little bit. Can you tell me, obviously we're just joking here, right? Tell me a little bit about why Robert Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles, I think is the nickname we settled on, Screw the Reaper. Why did he look so good, and why was he able to execute a game plan that, as I mentioned, would go a 3-round decision, but he would just frustrate him with his movement and stuff. Can you break down the fight a little for us?
So first and foremost, amazing performance from Robert Whittaker. Jared Cannonier used the leg kicks. I talked about it. He was leg kicking like that wasn't going out of style. Honestly, I don't know what would have happened in that fight in a 5-round fight. I'm gonna say it straight up. Jared Cannonier's gas tank impressed me. His chin, his ability to take a head kick. DC's like, oh, I don't know how he's still standing. Like, bro, you'd know what it's like to drop after a head kick.
That was so funny when he initially got stunned by that, and then you could see, do you remember when Kevin Lee got wheel kicked by Edson Barboza, and he was just
and he did the chicken legs?
Well, I could just see in Jared Cannonier's face, just like, my legs aren't working, as he's backing up, and then just fell on his face.
He face planted.
Like, that was the funniest thing. That was hilarious, but he recovered anyway. Go on.
Dude, it didn't just recover. He was off of his back with a dude on top of him that knows how to wrestle, straight up trying to choke him out. And he's just like, no, I'm getting up. I'm getting up now. That's what I'm doing now. I'm getting up. Like, this guy has all the tools he needs to go and win that fight. If it had 10 more minutes, I straight up don't know, because once Robert went down the one time, there was one clean shot by Jared Cannonier to the head the entire fight, and it had Robert Whittaker going up into the stratosphere. I'm just saying, said it before and I'll say it again. That it does not bode well when you go and scrap with someone like Israel Adesanya. Like, he dropped Brunson like 8 times in one fight. I'm not saying Brunson's the striker that Robert Whittaker is, but what I will say to Robert Whittaker's benefit is he's come out in that last fight and now this fight, and he's really utilized his wrestling more than he ever did before. He wasn't using his wrestling to set things up, and I think he had a perfect blend of being a complete mixed martial artist in the truest sense of it. Does that mean he's going to take Israel Adesanya down? I don't think so. I think Israel Adesanya's got elite takedown defense, like elite.
Yeah, not only
body
that,
positioning and everything.
Yeah, not only that, but also Robert Whittaker is able to set up takedowns with his footwork and his movement, and he does not have better footwork or movement than Izzy. So he's playing Izzy's game, and if you are fighting, because he's an aggressor, right? He'll go forward, and he's got a great jab. But if you are an aggressor versus an elite counter striker versus just someone who's a very good counter striker, there's such a palpable difference, right? Where Izzy, as a counter striker, is able to make Whittaker look like he shouldn't be in there with them, whereas Cannonier is able to have a competitive fight with. You know what I mean?
Right, and I think, honestly, all the credit to Jared Cannonier going in there against elite, world-class, world champion level competition. He got beat, and that's just straight up. You got beaten. But I love the fact that he was able to get up from getting rocked, rock him himself, and I don't know what would have happened moving forward. I think Robert was still in a obviously well sound of mind, ready to continue fighting. I don't think there was a stoppage coming. I'm not saying that right then and there. But Jared Cannonier started to come on stronger toward the end of the fight. And usually the muscle-bound guys, you don't see that. That is a huge credit to Jared Cannonier's gas tank. I think he could have went another 10 minutes, and I don't know what would have happened, to be honest with you.
Can I present an argument to you, though? do we think, and I do think, that he was putting on that onslaught to empty his gas tank because he knew he needed a stoppage because he wasn't winning a decision? I think that is more indicative of what happened. I think if it was 5 rounds, he wouldn't have put that onslaught on him, and it would have been 2 more rounds of what we saw. And
kicks.
Towards the end, yeah, the leg kicks would have been very effective. And don't get me wrong, they were
over
effective.
a 15-minute fight. I don't like the leg kick strategy, leg kick heavy strategy, because it doesn't win you fights on the scorecards.
Yeah,
and what it does is it's like body shots, but body shots can gas a guy quicker, whereas leg kicks are all movement based. It's so that you keep an elusive guy standing in the same spot, right? Now, Robert Whittaker took quite a few leg kicks, something like 22 of them. That's great as an investment in a 5-round fight. Leg kick heavy strategies in a 15-minute bout, it's not very smart, especially if the guy is world-class tough, where he's not going to start, I can't walk now, can't put any pressure on it. You start leg kicking Sean O'Malley, maybe we're talking about something a little bit different. Like, you've seen the track record of what happens when a guy like that gets his leg kicked. And he might tear his knee, might overreact, he might do his thing, but you still have attrition being built. Whereas Robert Whittaker over 15 minutes, I don't think leg kicks are going to put a guy like that away.
There's also the fact that between 185 and 135, Sean O'Malley's quads are the size of Robert Whittaker's calves, right? So he's got some thick legs there. Anyway, just to end this, this isn't all about, dissing Jared Cannonier, and I think you've done a very good job at defending him and indicating what he did do right, and he did. And I don't think actually he's still number 2, right? I still don't think he's that far removed from a title shot. I don't know how interested the UFC is in remaking making the rematch between Robert Whittaker and Stylebender, because that fight wasn't competitive. But Dana seemed pretty open to it as, yeah, that was clearly a number 1 contender fight. That being said, I don't know if Jared Cannonier doesn't get the next shot with a win over maybe the winner of Hermanson.
Paulo Costa. I'd love to see him fight Paulo Costa. Or the winner of Hermanson
versus Darren Till.
That's a great one as well.
That could be a clear number 1 contender fight as well. And so it won't be long. So let's say the style of Robert Whittaker is what is hindering Jared Cannonier from fulfilling his full potential. There are other guys who he'll be able to fight to put himself back in contention, where if Stylebender knocks out Whittaker again, which is probably pretty likely, that he'll be like, all right, well, listen, we can't give Whittaker another shot. So who are we going to give it to? Cannonier, right. Win one more, and you're right there again.
Right, and Paulo Costa is going to be looking to atone himself.
Oh, the winner that's a fight.
No, that's
first team all body. That's for the title of most Jack.
Oh my God. No, that would be a really, 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 really good fight, because I think that they're both in that same category of strategy of pressure, like going forward and just like a car crash. So that would be a fun fight to watch. Paulo Costa coming off of a loss, Cannonier coming off of a loss. One was to Izzy, one was to the former champ. Throw them in there and see what happens, because the winner of Till versus Hermanson, I mean, they're probably going to be out for a little bit. I expect a war. So waiting all that time might not be a thing, but we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. The middleweight division, it's funny because the number 1 contender spot is so hard fought for, and then it's all just the right to lose to the best guy. It's like you have a bunch of Phil Mickelsons and one Tiger Woods where it's like, yeah, this guy's just going to blast you all.
Yep, doesn't matter because none of them pose the threat, which is
Israel Adesanya is the best light heavyweight on the planet.
Yeah. And unless someone can impose a game, so we're really excited to see something like an Izzy versus John Jones. And believe you me, we will do a breakdown of that should that be announced. Really, no one in that kind of top 5 of middleweight poses that much of a threat to Stylebender unless Jack Hermanson says, I'm going to do nothing but Imanari rolls and try to catch this dude in a heel hook, right? Where he submitted Kelvin Gastelum in like a minute because he was like, oh, got the heel hook. Haha, I win. You know what I mean? Man. And I don't necessarily even want to get into that right now because Jack Hermanson has a monster in front of him in Darren Till. Anyway, what do you guys think the landscape holds at 185? Who gets the next shot to lose to Stylebender? What does Jared Cannonier have to do to get back into that title picture? Let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you all.